Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have our very first chance to finally check out some of the Jurassic World Rebirth Plannosaurus figures. Yes, we have the Plannosaurus Tyrannosaurus Rex from Bandai, and this is very exciting. It is technically, well, actually I would say there's probably been even more, because there was like the very first version of the Plannosaurus T-Rex, which I've already reviewed. Then there was like a I think just like a version you can paint yourself, and then I think there was a different version of the skeleton. I forget, there were a few, but I only ever acquired the first one. However, with the release of Jurassic World Rebirth, obviously I had to get all of the Jurassic World versions of these figures, and we're going to start with the T-Rex. So as you can see, clearly we have the coloration of this guy here, the grayish version of the T-Rex that we had seen plastered everywhere, even if that isn't actually the color of the T-Rex in the film, which is kind of strange. But here on the side, you can see again, you've got a shot of the figure, kind of a look at putting it together and assembling it, then a shot over here of the figure from the side. If we lead over here, again, that shot of the T-Rex. If we go here to the back, just some random information, of course, and then over here on the side, basically another shot of the figure and stuff. So once we actually open it, I don't know if it's actually taped shut. Doesn't look like it is. The box did get a little damaged in transit. So there we go. It is now open. And of course, in typical Plannosaurus fashion, you can see that we've got lots in here. I am very, very sad to see, though, that we still have the stickers. I thought we were moving away from the stickers and the figures were actually going to come pre-colored already, but clearly that is not the case. For some reason, Bandai just does not learn their lesson when it comes to the sticker usage of these figures, making them consistently look really ugly. So pretty sad, pretty let down that that is the case, but we're going to go ahead, pop all of this open, and then I'm going to get the skeleton built up and we'll check it out. So we've got a little bit of a mess currently with stuff laying everywhere, but one thing that's really cool about this is you actually get a super cool Jurassic World Rebirth backdrop here, which you can include with the display of the figure, which is really neat. I actually quite love that part. But then we have the skeleton built, and as you can see, the skeleton looks pretty cool. You know, it's not anything incredible, but not too bad. You do have an articulated jaw. You've also got some articulation in the head. You can swivel the head and neck. You can also move it up and then down, so you can definitely get some really cool displays as it pops out. Again, that's one very sad aspect to these figures, is they always pop apart so easily. You also have the ability to articulate the arms forward and back, also out away from the body a little bit. So again, some nice posability there. Also, actually, you can move the neck around. You can swivel it and stuff. It can go up and down a little bit as well, and a little left and right. Not a whole lot, but you know, the standard if you are familiar. Boy, this keeps popping out. The standard if you are familiar with these figures. And then of course you have the ability to articulate the hip area forward and back, also out away from the body, which you can see, as well as the knee forward and back, and then the ankle forward and back as well. You can really get some very cool poses again with the skeleton. Of course that changes once you actually, you know, put the skin and everything on. It's not quite as posable or articulated anymore. You can also articulate the tail up and down, again, to create even more poses with the figure, which is pretty cool. A little bit of left and right as well, which you can see, but not a whole lot. Mostly just up and down, and you can actually swivel it as well a little bit. So pretty cool. Again, definitely a fun Jurassic World Rebirth T-Rex skeleton, and you can of course display it in this phase. I don't know if it'll stand, if I'm being honest. I don't think it would. Oh yeah, look at that. I actually am totally wrong. So it is standing. Pretty impressive considering the curvatures of the toes. But we're of course going to continue on here and get this figure fully put together, so let's get straight to that. So we now have the figure actually put together and built, but we don't have the stickers on quite yet. So I did want to take just a quick look. Actually, we're going to move all of this stuff out of the way so we can get a quick closer look before I put the stickers on. So here is the T-Rex. I think it does look really cool. It absolutely has the look of the Rebirth T-Rex, no doubt about that. Not quite as highly detailed, of course, as we see on like the Mattel version. Honestly, I don't know that anybody's really going to touch that when it comes to a figure like this. I could be wrong though, but it does absolutely have a similar likeness to the Rebirth T-Rex T-Rex. You can see starting here in the head sculpt, we've got some decent scale detail, but kind of muted. You can see it popping up here and there. We can see the nostrils as well as the eye area all sculpted nicely. We also have, again, some nice looking scale detail here for the lower jaw. The actual jaw, of course, does articulate. Inside, I have already applied the stickers. You can see it's a disgusting mess in there because of those stickers. Just looks terrible. But you can see the teeth and everything are, of course, sculpted out, which we could already see that when we had taken a look at it with the skeleton phase. As you move back, you do have a little area of articulation right here, which can go up and down. We have a little bit of side-to-side tilting, but not a whole lot anymore. We do have a dark tone, like a very dark grayish tone for the upper body, a brownish tone for the lower jaw, moving down into the neck. We can see the skin texture and everything in the throat sculpted quite nicely. It does look pretty good. As you move up, you do still see an obvious seam, though. There's no sort of like gradual smooth transition. Decent texturing, but again, kind of muted throughout as you move up. You are also going to have all sorts of seams, honestly, through the entire figure, because it is just a snap together, kind of like snap piece kit where you just put the pieces in and snap them all together. You do have a little more articulation here in the neck, just kind of a little bit of tilting action, and a little bit up and down and a little bit left and right, but it doesn't give you a whole lot of room for movement. You can, well, there we go. Again, you can get some left and right movement, but as per usual with the Plannosaurus, you have to be very careful, get it into the position you want it, and then keep it there, because when you actually move everything around, the pieces are quite prone to falling off. As you move back into the body, again, you've got the shoulder blade right there that my camera doesn't want to focus on. Some more decent scale detail. I feel like with a repaint, this one could look pretty decent. As you move down, you have the arm sculpted. The arm itself does not look very good as far as the sculpt. It's kind of big and bulky and awkward looking, kind of chunky. The fingers don't really look that great. You've got the fingers and the claws sculpted decently, but they just don't look proportionate to the body itself, and that's a little bit of a bummer. But you can, of course, articulate the arms forward and back and out away from the body a little bit, so you've got a little bit of posability there, but of course you got to be careful or those pieces will pop out. As you move up, again, you've got a little bit of a different style to the skin texture up here in the back. Leading back, we can kind of make out the hip bone. Moving down through the thigh, the skin texture and scales actually look pretty good here. I think they are a little more vibrant in this area compared to most of the other areas of the body. We do, of course, have the musculature in the thigh, same deal with the calf as we lead down. You can see the kneecap right there. And then moving into the foot sculpt, again, the detail is definitely quite muted overall, nowhere near as crisp as you might want it to be, definitely not as crisp as I would like it to be. You can see the claws, but the claws are unpainted, of course, because outside of the actual color of the figure, you don't get any paint, and everything else is going to be applied with stickers. We do have dew claws, of course, though, for the inside, and then, of course, you do have articulation in the leg, which can go forward and back, also out away from the body, which is pretty nice. You actually can get it out there pretty far. And then you have knee articulation as well, forward and back. None of these areas can really swivel or anything anymore. You don't have any ankle articulation at this point either. And then you move up, and again, you do have more decent looking skin texture moving out into the tail. You have more of that brownish tone for the underside moving out, but that does end very abruptly before you lead into the last section of the tail. And yes, when we were taking the closer look at the skeleton phase, this part of the tail was upside down, and I don't know how I didn't notice that. It was just kind of like trying to hurry up and throw this together so that I could get the review finished, but I obviously had put that piece upside down. But you can now see again what it looks like if my camera focuses. Again, the skin texture's okay, but nothing incredible. You do still have a little area of articulation right here, up, down, and then a little left and right, but not a whole lot of movement allowed there. And then again, up and down right here. Can't swivel or anything anymore, a little left and right as well. But that's really about it. Not a whole lot of posability or anything, but I do really quite like the big chunky look of this T-Rex. I would say I like this T-Rex more than the previous version that they had in the Plannosaurus line. So I'm going to now do something I never do, and that's apply the stickers. I usually try to stay away from the stickers, but I really want to complete this one as far as the overall Rebirth look. So we're going to put the stickers on and we'll see what it looks like when it's done. So there it is. It took every ounce of courage in my body to actually put this together the entire way. If you know my history with the Plannosaurus figures and my reviews, you'll know that I never go through with actually putting the stickers all the way on. I always chicken out. I always try to, and then it looks so bad that I just stop. I give up, and then I just resort back to the way it looked originally. Well, this time I really wanted to go through with it to give you guys the overall look and feel of the Rebirth Tyrannosaurus Rex. And as you can see, it looks terrible. Oh man, these stickers are so bad. I'm going to actually readjust the camera just to kind of give you a little bit of a better light, I would say. But I don't know if that really made much difference. But you can see, again, once you actually apply the stickers, they just look terrible. They take away all of the details. Sure, you get some color. You've got, you know, eyeball paint now. Well, not paint, but color and everything. But, like, look at the way that they are applied. They just look so bad. And there's, you know, I guess a good way to do it, but it just doesn't work for me. And as you move back, again, you do have that striping effect moving over the top of the T-Rex, but it just looks so ridiculously cheap and just overall not good. As you can see moving down, again, everything just looks so bad with the stickers. Basically, you have almost like a silver look now for the body because of the sticker and the kind of see-through appearance that it has going on, but then you have a dark green striping, and that's what moves down through the body. And if that's not bad enough, you then have the claws, which you don't get the dew claw paint or the claws on the hand, but you, well, not even paint, but stickers, but you basically apply stickers to the claws on the feet as well, and they honestly look equally as terrible. So again, this one's definitely a toss-up. If you want a very interesting, very different style Rebirth Tyrannosaurus, maybe go for it, but I'm not entirely sold. The base is pretty cool, though, I will say. It's got kind of like a muddy kind of look, and it's got a translucency to it, and we also have the Jurassic logo right here, which is really cool. So I do like the base, but the downside to the base is the actual piece that you use to apply to the T-Rex is this one. I actually took the one from my old T-Rex, the original Plannosaurus Rex. I pulled that one off. I put that one on the base for the Rebirth Rex because this one does not work. As you can see, once you slide it into the foot, that's supposed to keep it sturdy, basically, and hold it on here, but it just slides right out. Like, I cannot get this in. Just pops right out. Does not work at all. So I actually had to go grab the one from the older T-Rex and put it on, and now it's kind of working. As we readjust the camera again, at least a little bit better than the, you know, new one that they had given it. But you also again have, actually I should probably turn that around because now the overall scene is kind of taking place in the other direction, but you now have the really cool backdrop again that you can include with the T-Rex. Also, just in case you wanted a comparison, if you happen to have the older T-Rex, as you can see, they are the exact same size, which means we don't really need to do comparisons or anything like that because we already know the size of the T-Rex since we've already reviewed the older one. But overall, again, I'm not going to say that this is a great release. It definitely isn't. I think Plannosaurus still has some work to do on their figures. I love the fact that they are releasing Jurassic World Rebirth figures, but when they look like this with the stickers on, it is just so ugly, and I really wish they would find a better way, like just pre-painting the pieces would just make these a million times better. Sculpt-wise, the figure does look okay. Again, definitely has a little bit of a Rebirth T-Rex look to it. The fine detail isn't incredible, but it's not terrible either. It doesn't look as highly detailed as some others, but it's not bad. It's just a little muted when it comes to the detail. It does have the ability to, again, be displayed with the skeleton or with the full body put together. You have a little bit of articulation as well, which does help as far as like posability and display options, and the backdrop is really cool. So if you are interested, I actually purchased this one on AliExpress because it's not available technically yet here in the United States on Amazon or on Big Bad Toy Store, which is where I usually get them. So if you are interested, I'll include a link in the description to where I purchased it on AliExpress. So check that link, grab it if you want it, and like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.